I want to tell you something that I think a lot of content creators are too embarrassed to admit. I do not produce this channel the way most people probably imagine. There is no professional studio. There is no ring light. There is no high-quality microphone sitting on a desk next to a cup of carefully arranged coffee. There is no team, no editor, no assistant, and no budget for any of those things. What there is a laptop, a few free tools, some artificial intelligence, a voice that has already been through more than it probably should have, and a person who decided that the urge to say something out loud was stronger than the fear of saying it imperfectly. Today I want to talk about how I actually make this channel work, why I started using AI tools in the first place, what those tools do for me practically, and why this whole project means something much bigger to me than just posting videos on the internet. I also want to be honest about my life situation because I think context matters when you understand why someone builds something the way they build it. This is not a tutorial. This is just me telling you my story and being real about how I function as a one-person operation running entirely on limited resources, chronic health concerns, and a stubborn refusal to stop expressing myself. Let me start with how AI came into my life because it did not begin with this channel. A student introduced me to it. He was someone I connected with well during our sessions, the kind of person who notices things, asks good questions, and is genuinely aware of what is happening around him and within himself. He had worked at a large company for years and eventually made the decision to move to a smaller organization because the environment at the bigger company was damaging his mental health. That choice, prioritizing his well-being over the status of a prestigious employer, stuck with me. He mentioned AI as something useful for thinking through problems, generating ideas, and exploring multiple perspectives on a topic. I was curious, so I tried it. At the time, the tool was still relatively new and had a tendency to produce inaccurate information presented with complete confidence. Anyone who used it in those early days knows what I am talking about. You would ask something and it would give you a detailed, beautifully structured answer that turned out to be partially or entirely wrong. That was frustrating, but I kept using it anyway because even with its limitations, it was doing something for me that nothing else had done quite the same way. It was giving me a thinking partner, a place to bring a half-formed thought and ask it to help me see it from 20 different angles, a space to describe something I was going through and receive a response that offered possible explanations, different frameworks, and perspectives I had not considered. The strategy one developed was simple. I would ask the AI to give me multiple possible reasons or perspectives on something, never just one. If I was trying to understand a student's behavior, I would ask for 15 possible explanations. If I was trying to think through a decision, I would ask for the potential benefits and the potential risks simultaneously. This approach trained me to stop looking for a single correct answer and start sitting comfortably with complexity. That shift turned out to be more valuable than any specific piece of information the tool ever gave me. Over time, I started using it for more practical things in my work. When a student asks me a question I am not sure about, instead of spending time searching through multiple websites and trying to evaluate which sources are reliable, I use the AI to get a starting point and then apply my own judgment. I still think for myself. I still cross-check. But having a tool that can quickly organize information and present it in a usable form saves time and mental energy on days when both are in short supply. For language learning, AI has become genuinely useful in ways I did not expect. I am learning Korean and Japanese, not at any impressive level, I want to be honest about that, but I am learning. When I am too tired to type and my hands are sore, I use the voice feature to speak in the language I am practicing and receive feedback in a conversational format. It is not the same as a human tutor, but it is available at any hour, it does not judge my mistakes, and it costs significantly less than paying for regular lessons. For someone in my financial situation, that matters. The AI tools I use most regularly are 3 of the major ones currently available, and I use all 3 because they each have slightly different strengths. I cross-reference them when I am fact-checking something I want to include in my content. This matters to me because I do not want to put incorrect information in front of people who are watching this channel. I am not a journalist. I am not an academic. I am an ordinary person sharing observations, experiences, and research. But that is not an excuse to be careless about accuracy. So I check. I compare what different tools say. And if something seems uncertain or contested, I say so rather than pretending I know more than I do. Now let me explain how I actually produce this content, because I think some people might find it interesting and some might find it surprising. I do not sit down and write scripts by hand. I cannot type as fast as I think, and on days when my energy is low, which is many days, the physical act of typing for extended periods becomes a barrier. So instead, I dictate. I use a voice dictation tool to speak my thoughts out loud, and the tool converts what I say into text. What comes out of that process is raw and unfiltered, exactly the way I actually think and talk, which means it includes run-on ideas, incomplete sentences, repetitions, and the occasional thought that wanders somewhere unexpected before finding its way back. That rawness is actually me. That is genuinely how my mind works. Once I have that raw material, I bring it to the AI and ask it to help me shape it into something organized and coherent, while keeping my voice and my perspective intact. This is an important distinction. I am not asking the AI to have opinions for me or to replace my thinking. I am asking it to help me present what I already think in a way that is clear, organized, and appropriate for a platform with content guidelines I need to follow. I am a direct person. I say what I think. I do not soften things unnecessarily. But some of the ways I naturally express myself could create problems with platform rules, not because what I mean is wrong, but because the specific words I choose can be flagged by automated systems that do not understand context. The AI helps me find ways to say what I actually mean in language that will not get my content penalized. That is the extent of it. The ideas are mine. The perspective is mine. The AI is a tool for presentation, not a replacement for thought. For the visuals of my videos, I use AI-generated images rather than photographs or videos I found online. There are a few reasons for this. First, using images from general internet searches carries copyright risk, and I do not want to deal with copyright claims on content I worked hard to produce. Second, and more personally, I do not have a smartphone right now. I know that sounds surprising in this era, where most people have a phone in their hand constantly, but mine stopped working during the pandemic, and I have not been able to replace it yet. I access payment apps and verification systems by borrowing my friend's phone when I need to. I am saving to get my own phone so I can take photos of my dogs and document more of my daily life, but that is still a work in progress. The images in my videos are not meant to be impressive or cinematic. They are functional. This channel is not about aesthetics. It was never meant to be a beautifully produced visual experience. It is a diary. It is a place where I process what I think, share what I learn, and connect with people who find something here that resonates with them. The content is the point. The visuals are just a vehicle for delivering it. For the video itself, I use an editing tool with a built-in text-to-speech reader. Because of my voice situation, which I will explain in more detail shortly, recording my own voice consistently and re-recording when mistakes happen is not something I can always manage. The TTS reader lets me produce content on days when my voice is not cooperating, which protects my health while keeping the channel moving forward. Now let me talk about my voice because it is central to so many decisions I make about how I work and how I live. I have a history of vocal nodules. Nodules, for those who do not know, are small benign growths that develop on the vocal cords, usually from overuse or strain. They cause hoarseness, voice fatigue, and in serious cases can lead to complete voice loss. I have experienced significant voice loss twice in my life. The first time it happened, it lasted about a month. The second time was longer, close to 2 months, and I came very close to needing surgery. I managed to recover without surgery that time, but the experience left me permanently aware of how easily my voice can be damaged if I push it too hard. This awareness shapes everything about how I approach my work. I cannot teach classes back to back without breaks the way some people can. My voice has limits that I have to respect, and on days when I have already been talking for hours, I sometimes have to choose between opening one more session and protecting my voice for the following day. This is not a choice most people understand unless they have experienced it themselves. Your voice is your livelihood when you work as a language teacher. Losing it, even temporarily, is not just uncomfortable. It is financially devastating. So the AI tools, the TDS reader, the voice dictation software, all of these are not just conveniences. They are adaptations to a genuine physical limitation. They let me produce content, continue working, and stay productive on days when my body is not cooperating, which honestly describes more days than I would like to admit. I want to be transparent about something else regarding this channel because I think some viewers have expectations that I want to address directly. I do not spoon-feed information. I never said I would. This channel is my learning diary, my personal outlet, and a space for me to share my perspective on things I find interesting or important. If something I say makes you curious, look it up. If you disagree with my interpretation of something, that is completely fine. Find someone whose perspective aligns more closely with yours. I fact-check what I can using the tools available to me, particularly the AI tool from the same company that owns the platform I post on, which I use specifically to flag anything that might create accuracy issues. But I am one person with limited time and limited resources, and I am not running a research institution. I am running a diary that happens to be public. Comments demanding that I cite every source, explain every claim in academic detail, or justify why I hold a particular opinion are not something I will engage with extensively. My job here is not to prove myself to critics. My job is to keep showing up, keep sharing, and keep building something that reflects who I am and what I actually think. If the content is useful to you, wonderful. If it is not, there are millions of other channels on the internet. Now, let me tell you why this channel actually matters to me beyond the content itself, because I think understanding the motivation changes the way the whole thing makes sense. I live alone. I have for a while now, and largely by choice. My family background was chaotic and painful in ways I have mentioned briefly in other videos and will continue to be honest about over time. My father struggled with alcohol and substance use. My mother had serious mental health challenges that went unaddressed for most of my childhood. Growing up in that environment meant growing up without the stability, care, and safety that children deserve. It meant moving constantly, attending multiple schools across different years, never quite settling into anything long enough to build solid roots. It meant absorbing dynamics that I have spent my adult life trying to understand and recover from. Leaving that environment was not something I did easily or lightly. I spent years trying to hold things together, supporting siblings, playing the role expected of a firstborn daughter in a Filipino family where that role carries enormous weight. I tried. For a long time, I tried. And eventually I made the decision that continuing to try in the same way was not going to produce different results, and that protecting my own health, both mental and physical, had to take priority. That decision is one that some people in my life have not understood or forgiven. I have made my peace with that. Living alone now, away from a situation that was not safe for me, is not a tragedy. It is a form of recovery. It is quiet in a way my childhood never was. It is mine in a way very few things in my life have been. My 2 dogs are here with me. They are Aspens, which is the Filipino term for the ordinary mixed-breed dogs that are everywhere in the country, not expensive or pedigreed, just dogs, loyal and real and present in the way that animals are when you give them a consistent home. They are my daily companions, and honestly one of the main reasons I get up and do what I need to do on the days when the depression makes everything feel impossible. I am also expecting to receive kittens soon, as a friend's cat recently gave birth, and the possibility of adding to this small household feels like something genuinely good to look forward to. The channel is connected to all of this because it serves several purposes at once. It is an outlet. It is a learning tool. It is a community I am slowly building with strangers who find something here that speaks to them. And it is a potential source of income that I hope to develop into something that helps fund my life as I get older, including the education I still want to finish, the phone I am saving for, and eventually a more stable and independent living situation. I used to dream of being on the radio when I was young. I wanted people to hear my voice and find something in it worth listening to. That dream did not happen the way I imagined it. But this is a version of it. Imperfect, limited, built from whatever is available to me right now, but real. And I think there is something to be said for building real things from what you actually have rather than waiting for ideal conditions that may never arrive. I am not trying to be an influencer. I am not trying to be famous. I am trying to leave something behind that reflects how I actually thought and what I actually cared about, and maybe to connect with people who feel seen by some piece of it. If that is you, I am glad you are here. If it is not, I understand, and I hope you find what you are looking for somewhere else. This channel is mine. It is unfiltered, within the bounds of what the platform allows. It is honest, within the limits of what I am ready to share. And it is ongoing because I am still here, still thinking, still learning, and still talking about it, one video at a time. Thanks for watching. If this conversation resonated with you, please consider hitting the subscribe button. I am currently working toward my goal of 1,000 subscribers, so I can finally monetize this channel and turn this passion into a sustainable part of my future. This is my unfiltered diary of solo living in the Philippines, from the long days in the ESL classroom to my journey as a beginner learning Japanese and Korean. Your support helps me build my retirement fund and keeps this channel growing. If you would like to help out even more, you can check out the Buy a Treat for My Pets link in the description. My dogs definitely appreciate the love. Make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss the next update. Thank you for being such an important part of this journey. I will see you in the next one.